Right now, somewhere on this planet, a soccer game is being played. 22 people on a field, all wearing the same thing, all chasing the same ball. And if you don't know what you're looking for, that's all it is. People running, a ball bouncing, goals happening for reasons you can't quite explain. But what you're actually watching is one of the most intricate systems of human coordination ever designed. Every single player on that pitch is operating inside an invisible architecture that took over 150 years to build. They each have a role, a zone, a job that determines every run they make and every pass they don't. The reason most people struggle to follow soccer isn't because the sport is hard, it's because nobody ever handed them the blueprint. This is every position in soccer, what it actually does, and why the modern game has bent each one into something almost unrecognizable. There are 11 players on each side. They're organized into 4 layers: goalkeeper, defenders, midfielders, and forwards. That sounds clean and simple. It's not. Inside those 4 layers, the roles fracture into dozens of specialized jobs, and every one of them has changed dramatically in just the last 20 years. Let's start at the back. The goalkeeper is the only player on the field allowed to touch the ball with their hands. That single rule makes this position completely unlike every other one on the pitch. The keeper stands between 2 posts 8 yards apart and 8 feet high, and their job is to stop the ball from crossing the line. But here's what most people don't realize. The modern goalkeeper barely resembles the one your parents watched. 20 years ago, keepers stayed on their line. They waited for shots. They reacted. That was the job. Then Manuel Neuer at Bayern Munich changed everything. He played so far off his goal line that he was essentially a defender who happened to wear gloves. Commentators started calling him a sweeper keeper, a goalkeeper who patrols the space behind the defense like an outfield player. He didn't just stop shots. He started attacks. He received passes under pressure from his own defenders and distributed the ball like a midfielder. Before Neuer, goalkeepers were the last line. After him, they became the first player in every attack. The entire position was rewritten in a single generation. Directly in front of the goalkeeper, you have the center backs. Most formations use 2 of them. Their job is to stop the opposing attackers from scoring. They win headers, make tackles, read the game 2 or 3 passes ahead, and organize every player in front of them. But here's the part that surprises people. The best center backs in history aren't the ones who make the most tackles. They're the ones who make the fewest. Virgil van Dijk at Liverpool became the best defender on the planet not through aggression but through positioning so perfect that danger almost never reached him. He made defending look boring. In this position, boring is the highest compliment you can receive. On either side of the center backs, you find the fullbacks. Left back, right back, and no position in soccer has been reinvented more radically in the last 30 years. Fullbacks used to be the simplest role on the pitch. Stay wide, defend your flank, don't go forward unless you absolutely have to. They were usually the least technical players on the team. Nobody bought a ticket to watch the left back. Then Pep Guardiola happened. When Guardiola coached Barcelona and later Manchester City, he turned fullbacks into one of the most important offensive weapons in the sport. His fullbacks didn't just run up and down the wing. Some of them cut inside into midfield, becoming an extra central midfielder when the team had the ball. Dani Alves, Philipp Lahm, Juan Cancelo. These players completely redefined what it means to play on the side of a defense. A modern fullback covers more ground than almost anyone else on the pitch, sometimes 12 or 13 kilometers in a single match. They defend, they attack, they cross, they create. The position went from the most boring job on the team to one of the most physically demanding roles in professional sports. Now we move into midfield, and this is where the architecture gets interesting. The deepest sitting midfielder is the defensive midfielder, sometimes called the number 6, sometimes called the holding midfielder. And this might be the most important position on the entire field that casual fans completely ignore. The defensive midfielder sits in front of the back line and controls the space between the defense and the midfield. They intercept passes, they break up attacks, they recycle possession when nobody else can find an option. They set the tempo of the entire game. When this player has a bad day, the whole team falls apart. It's like removing a load-bearing wall from a building. Everything above it collapses. Sergio Busquets played this role for Barcelona for over 15 years. Scouts had a famous saying about him: you watch the game, you don't see Busquets. You watch Busquets, you see the whole game. That's the essence of the position, invisible to the casual viewer, foundational to everything. Above the 6, you find the central midfielders, the number 8s. These are the engines of the team. They connect defense to attack. They carry the ball forward under pressure. They arrive late into the penalty area to score goals nobody expected them to score. They track back and defend, they press, they create. The number 8 needs to do everything, at least reasonably well, which is why it produces some of the most complete players in the sport. Kevin De Bruyne could spray a 60-yard pass and score from 30. N'Golo Kante could cover more ground than 2 players combined. Luka Modric could control the rhythm of an entire match with a single touch. Same position, entirely different interpretations. That's the beauty of midfield. Now, just behind the forwards, there used to live the most glamorous player on the pitch. The number 10, the Playmaker, the one who saw passes nobody else could see. Pelé, Maradona, Zidane, Ronaldinho, all 10s. They operated in a zone called the hole, the pocket of space between the opponent's midfield and defense, and they turned that space into art. For decades, the 10 was the most celebrated position in the sport. But here's the uncomfortable truth: the classic number 10 is dying. Modern defensive systems have compressed the space where playmakers used to live. Teams today press so aggressively that a player who only creates and doesn't work without the ball luxury nobody can afford. The players who still wear the 10 shirt, like Jude Bellingham, now do the job of a creator and a workhorse simultaneously. The pure luxury playmaker who floated between the lines waiting for inspiration is nearly extinct. Out on the flanks ahead of the fullbacks you have the wingers, left wing, right wing. Their job is to stretch the defense horizontally, creating space in the center for everyone else. A traditional winger hugged the touchline on their natural side, right foot on the right, left foot on the left. They ran at defenders and delivered crosses into the box. The modern game flipped this entirely. Today, most elite wingers play on their opposite flank. A left-footed player on the right side, cutting inside onto their stronger foot, shooting instead of crossing. Mohamed Salah, Arjen Robben, Lionel Messi in his later years, all inverted wingers. They score goals that used to belong only to strikers. This single tactical shift has been one of the significant changes in how soccer is played in the 21st century. At the very top of the formation sits the striker, the number 9. The goal scorer, the one name even casual fans always know. The striker's job is the most straightforward in the sport and the most unforgiving. Score goals, everything else is secondary. Robert Lewandowski scored over 600 career goals by mastering a space no bigger than a living room. Erling Haaland can disappear for 89 minutes, touch the ball once, score and win the match. The best strikers in history don't need 10 chances, they need one. And then there's the role that broke the entire system. The false 9, a striker who isn't really a striker. Instead of staying high and central where a 9 is supposed to live, the false 9 drops deep into midfield, dragging the center backs forward and leaving a massive gap behind them that nobody knows how to defend. Guardiola weaponized this in 2009 when he moved Messi into the false 9 role against Real Madrid. Barcelona won 6-2. The defending team had no answers because the space where the striker was supposed to be was empty. Nobody was where they were supposed to be. The tactical map broke. The false 9 isn't just a position, it's a philosophy. The idea that where you aren't can be more dangerous than where you are. And that's what nobody tells new fans about soccer positions. The formation you see on a screen before kickoff, the 4-3-3, the 4-4-2, those are just starting points. The second the whistle blows, it's fluid. Fullbacks become midfielders. Midfielders become wingers. Strikers drop so deep they're practically defenders. The numbers on the graphic are a language, not a cage. They describe where you begin, not where you'll end up. Once you learn that language, you stop seeing 22 people chasing a ball. You start seeing the structure, the geometry, the invisible system underneath every pass and every movement. That's the moment soccer stops being chaos and starts being the most intricate team sport ever designed. You were always watching the same game. You just didn't have the blueprint, now you do. If you made it this far, you now see soccer differently than 90% of people watching it. If you want more breakdowns like this, hit subscribe. I'm building the most complete soccer encyclopedia on YouTube, and the next video goes even deeper. I'll see you there.